Today we hopped on the Chestnut Knoll van provided by Jodie Daniels, Assistant Director at Chestnut Knoll in Boyertown, so that we could attend the Pennsylvania Alzheimer's Disease Planning Committee event being held at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. Joining me were Celeste Fox, Montgomery County Aging and Adult Services, Linda Gambone from Community Health and Dental Care, Cass Moyer from Caring Hospice Services, and previous caregivers Donna Towers and Harry DiLorenzo. Sam, the van driver, dropped us right at the doorstep of the University of Pennsylvania where the event took place. Hello everyone, we're here at the University of Pennsylvania and we're here for a very good cause. We're going to hear all about Alzheimer's and how we're going to help those in Pennsylvania. So let's go inside and listen to this important message.
As I said earlier, those living with the disease and their families, we gather together those providing care and those impacted by the disease in one way or another, those conducting research. This morning we're also pleased to have with us Representative Kathy Watson, the important voice of policy. Representative Watson is chair of the Alzheimer's Caucus in Harrisburg, and I'd like to invite you to come up, Representative Watson, and share some words of welcome. Without your inspiration and leadership, I don't know if we'd be standing here today for this effort. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, those of you who are here to testify, I look forward to your report because I truly believe you will be like them. You will give us a blueprint that we will be able to use. Now I know you're going to scare me and Senator Mensch and all the others because you're going to come up with things and we go, not the money, how are we going to do this? But I also know you'll be creative to find ways that we can do things that may not take government money, but we will get the job done.
There are thousands of people and families touched by Alzheimer's disease who are looking for answers. A room full of people learned some of those answers from doctors, caregivers, and those personally affected as they shared their information and stories relating to the disease.
My name is Carmen Torres, and it's an honor to be here today alongside so many people who are dedicated to helping the Pennsylvanians with dementia. I'm 52 years old. And I have the diagnosis of a young onset of Alzheimer's disease. I had retired from the Philadelphia Police Department after 30 years of service. And I would still be working if I didn't have this diagnosis. When I was diagnosed, I reached out to the Delaware Valley chapter of the Alzheimer's Association to get more information. And to find out what programs will help me. I am now involved in an early stage support group and serve as an early stage advisory council member. Since my diagnosis, I have learned to live in the moment. I know I'm sick, but I also know what's going on. So, I have a chance to make the most out of it. I have 2 daughters, and I'm stepping out of this for a minute. 2 daughters, and I have 3 grandchildren. So I don't mind getting dirty with them so much anymore. I know that there is no cure, but I wish to have one. I only hope that researchers will continue to try for treatment that works and will help me and millions of others who are affected. While I wait for a cure, I sometimes worry about the future. I am fearful about what will happen when I need more help. I live alone, and even though my family is very supportive, they are young and have young families of their own. I worry about whether I'll be able to afford the care that I may need, and I worry about how I will feel when I need that care. I have been self-sufficient for a long time. So becoming dependent on others makes me sad. This diagnosis and what it means can be sobering when we all know that the story does not end here. And we all know that the story doesn't end here. I am concerned about people who do not have what I have, who live alone and are like me with Alzheimer's disease. Some have very little money and no support. Please address the issues of people who are younger with Alzheimer's, and please make certain that they can get the care that they need. There are two ways of looking at this. Feeling sorry for yourself and feeling sorry for yourself or being grateful. I choose to be grateful for what I have today and for the hope that I have for the future. I may not remember what happened yesterday and not be able to focus on what I am doing tomorrow, but I do believe that I have today, and today I am hopeful as the state of Pennsylvania is listening to me and to others who have Alzheimer's disease. I believe in you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to have this time for the public to speak. It was an opportunity for me to realize how much caring for older adults, which I've always known as my ministry and mission in my own life, but to look at it from all the angles that it came to be in my life to this point. First, I was a student. I was a student who knew that they wanted to study healthcare, a nursing student, a student who graduated from Penn State with a degree in health planning and administration, and from Temple with a certificate in long-term care administration, and continue to be a student. And I love to learn and love the issues of aging and Alzheimer's and that sort of thing. And then I became a provider. I'm a licensed nursing home administrator in the state of Pennsylvania, and I'm a personal care home administrator. So I've worked for nonprofit organizations with multiple sites of daycares and skilled nursing facilities and assisted livings and all those sorts of things, and senior centers, and served on the boards. I've run support groups, so I've seen the emotional impact, I've seen the psychological impact. I've spent time talking to spouses who have told me things like, I needed to mourn the loss of my Gracie and learn to love this new woman. I've met with people and watched them shed tears and held their hands and spent hours with them as they mourn the loss of a 60-year-old wife, as they talk about how their teenage children can't cope with the fact that their mother, who's not even 50 years old, has Alzheimer's, and their dad has to take her to daycare before he takes them to high school. So I've learned all those things, and I've felt them. And I've seen the loss from the incurable disease. I've seen the splintered lives. I've seen the difficulty in navigating a system that nobody really wants to think about, frankly. So when you talk about education, there has to be a willingness to come to the education before the need is there. And it's thinking about an incurable disease is not a very palatable idea. I've seen the ambiguous loss. I've seen how we grieve, this never-ending grieving process of losing a person right before our very eyes who is still physically right there in front of us. I see the ambiguous loss of the relationships, the sadness that comes with it, the compassion fatigue, you know, the love and care and outpouring that caregivers give, but we're human beings too, and we get tired too, as professionals and as family members and the like. And so over the course of 20 years, I really thought I got it, and I knew it, and I loved it, and I always say to the staff, as employees that I've trained and supported, frontline staff and management staff, I've always said to them, you know, when things stop hurting your heart, that's when you need to go find something else to do, because this is very sad. And then I got my real education. I learned it as a daughter. And that's when I learned the real meaning of being a caregiver, being a provider, the challenges, and what they feel right in your heart. See, I was lucky enough to be adopted from the foster care system, from the child welfare system in the state of Pennsylvania at the age of 8. And so I was adopted by the most lovely Pennsylvania Dutch farming couple that you could ever meet. And through caring for my mother, who developed Alzheimer's over the course of 10 years, I learned what it meant to be the sandwich generation. I learned what it meant to try and have my 4-year-old son at daycare and know if my mom took her pills. I learned what it meant to take meals. I learned what it meant to watch her go. I learned what it meant to feel it. Because you know what I learned the most? I learned that you can't intellectualize your way through the feelings. I learned you can't read a book and quite know how it feels as it does when you're living the experience. So thank you for taking this opportunity today. It affects all of us. I believe there are many organizations, community, churches, civic, that will help the government in achieving these goals. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak from these varied facets of how it's been an experience in my life. And I'd like to commend the prior speaker because that took a lot of courage.
Dene Liott is with us, also a member of the Council on Aging. There you are. Take your time.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. And now that we've heard all of these doctors, and I don't think a lawyer, but everyone that has so much to give us, we're now down to the little old lady. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm supposed to tell you in about 5 minutes about 15 years of caregiving in home to my mother who had Alzheimer's. So I'll try to tell you just a little part of the story. When I was a youngster, my mother read the Bible daily. She was a tiny, happy, cheerful person and would play music, whistle, sing, and laugh all day long. Fortunately for both of us, our homes were adjacent. Our bedrooms met. So all I needed to do was open the doorway so that I could take care of her. So it was when I became caregiver for 15 years. During those years, I enjoyed my time with my mother. I'm sort of upbeat on this Alzheimer's. I really and truly enjoyed her. As she became a little girl, I heard stories I had never heard before. I learned things. I tried to stay positive because it was my mother. I enjoyed that time. I cried, but I still enjoyed it. It was hard to keep positive, but I did it anyway. And I consider myself fortunate because here I am telling you this story. My mother loved to drive her car. She was always coming and going several times a day, just to be able to drive. One day she asked me if I needed anything from the store. To make her feel useful, I said, okay, bring me a quart of milk. She returned with a pound of butter. I told her to I wanted the milk. She said, oh, I'll exchange it. She insisted on exchanging it. I said, okay, I'll write a note so you can give it to the clerk. That was the day I realized that something was happening to my mother's mind. It happened so gradually that neither of us realized the changes. She was more forgetful, needed things explained to her over and over. She told fibs to hide her confusion. Everything that I did for my mother was from instinct. I did not realize until much later that she was a victim of Alzheimer's disease. I started taking care of her in the early 90s. As you know, Alzheimer's disease is one step at a time. My mother and I both cried when it was necessary to take her car keys. I had to remove the connection to her stove. I locked all the doors so that she wouldn't wander. Later, she forgot how to walk, and she had to be in a wheelchair. Finally, she became confined to bed. When my mother became my baby, I changed her diapers, as she changed mine when I was her baby. And I was happy to be able to do this for her. It is important that Pennsylvanians have access to memory care campuses, as well as to be able to stay at home. We must be able to furnish a source of information for the families and caregivers, such as a toll-free telephone number, make the public aware of the services available to them for the disease. Perhaps rather than wait for the public to come to Pennsylvania Department of Aging for information, we should reach out to the public, talk to the students in high schools, colleges, ask churches, clubs, organizations to print the information in their bulletins, post flyers in public places, and make public announcements on radio and TV. Make use of every available resource to get the word out. I was fortunate because my mother's doctor suggested that I contact Aging and Adult Services for help. Celeste Fox, the supervisor for aging in Pottstown area, told me about the programs that they offered, and it was determined that my mother was eligible for the wonderful waiver program. The waiver program. The program was the waiver program. And they provided us help with the Family Caregivers Network agency, and it made it possible for me to take care of my mother at home where she wanted to be. It was my privilege and honor to care for my mother. I cherish those days, including her final hours with Chaplain Barry Moyer from Caring Hospice Services, who was there for both of us. Thank you for your attention. Be well, be happy, keep moving forward, and keep good thoughts. And a thank you to Jodie Daniels and Chestnut Knoll for bringing us here today. And it is my pleasure to introduce Senator Bob Mensch.
Dene, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. Why are you here today, Senator?
Well, you and I are here for a Alzheimer's task force meeting. I'm being a member of the legislature and chairing Aging and Youth Committee in the Senate. I'm a standing member of the committee you were here to present today. We're going around the state trying to discover information, additional information about how the state can assist with the continuing issues surrounding the growth of Alzheimer's disease.
You know, and I know that I know your mother.
Yes.
And, you know, my mother had Alzheimer's, and I know your mother's up in ages. And how is she doing?
Mother will be 93 in December, and her mental faculties are still very sharp. Her husband, my dad, had some difficulties in the later stage of his life with Alzheimer's.
Oh, but then your mother's fine. Well, good for her.
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. And I'm so happy for everything that you do for us in the aging population.
Well, thank you. You know, it's what I've come to understand is as you get older, you appreciate more the need for aging services. So I'm aging, and so I appreciate all the more the good work that we do from the state. It's never enough, but you have to pick your battles and do those things that you can have the greatest effect for the largest part of the population.
And we are that large portion in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania is still the fourth largest seniors population in the nation by percent of population. And in Pennsylvania itself, the aging demographic is 28%, I believe is the right number. So
I'm glad to be among that. I hope to continue to be here.
Well, don't we all? Sure, we want that number to expand and increase, and we want to keep contributing to that expansion, surely.
And we want to keep you in the state of Pennsylvania. You keep moving there, Bob.
Age is the matter of mind. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, we keep on moving. We're having a lot of fun.
And we want to keep you in the Senate.
Well, thank you very much. I'd like to stay there.
We want you there. And we need Bob there. Don't forget that. Thank you very much, Senator Mensch.
Dene, thank you. As always, I look forward to the next time we can sit down and do a full show.
That'll be great, very soon.
Yes, it's on the calendar from those.
Yeah, I think so. It is my pleasure to introduce the Secretary of Aging, Brian Duke.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Dean.
And what happened here today?
Today there was a regional meeting of the Pennsylvania Alzheimer's Disease Committee. This committee was appointed by Governor Tom Corbett by executive order, following inspiration from our legislator, especially Representative Kathy Watson and others, to talk about Alzheimer's disease and its impact on Pennsylvanians.
And about how many people contributed today?
You know, we had about 35 speakers today, and they were from a wide spectrum. We had researchers, we had policy people, we had healthcare providers, we had a person living with the disease, and we had their family members. And I think all the information today will be very helpful to the committee. We're traveling the state. We have 6 regional meetings. This was the 4th one, and we'll be gathering that information along with other research to help form recommendations for Governor Corbett.
And we are going to have a lot of work to do because there's a lot to read.
Well, there's a lot to read, but it also, we have to think about how many of our fellow citizens are faced with the disease. About 400,000 Pennsylvanians either have Alzheimer's or related dementia. So there's a lot of work for the committee and an important work for the committee to continue so that we have a good report in February.
And I'm sure, Secretary, that you'll be able to handle this from the Department of Aging.
Thank you. Well, I count on a good team I have at the Department of Aging and people like yourself on the Pennsylvania Council on Aging and many others.
Thank you so much, and it's so wonderful the governor did this.
Thank you. Yeah, we thank Governor Corbett a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is the end of a perfect day. We are ready to hop the van from Chestnut, Knoll. Thank you so much for joining us. Come aboard. We want to thank Chestnut Knoll, that does so much for the caregiving community, for making it possible to share this event with you.